Check one, check. Uh-oh, it's no good. All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio. Hang on, let's get some tone here. Hello. All right, good. All right. All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio. And today on the telephone, we have Luke Gallows. And, of course, Luke Gallows will be appearing tonight at the Exchange Club here in Lawrence as part of that big charity event, Christmas for Kids, that we've been talking about all program long. Luke, of course, been worldwide since leaving the WWE, Japan, Nigeria, just got back from Australia. You can follow Luke Gallows on Twitter at Real Gallows, and on Facebook he has his official Luke Gallows page and just regular Luke Gallows there on Facebook. So check him out on Facebook and Twitter right now. Welcome to Inside Wrestling Radio, Luke Gallows. Luke, how you doing, man?
Hey, Ricky, thanks for having me on the show, man. I'm doing great. How are you?
Man, it's great to have you back on, or have you on the program, and it's great to have you back in the United States, man. You've been all over the place.
Yeah, it's good to be here and have my feet planted back firmly on the ground where they belong, but definitely keeping busy and trying to continue to take the wrestling world by storm, and I'm very happy to be doing it, so it's definitely a blessing.
Man, it's really your career probably, to me, is one of the more interesting careers of the last few years because some people may know, some people may not, but you were a part of the WWE developmental for a long time, of course, doing the freaking Deacon down there in the Deep South area, and then moving on to doing other things. Man, tell me about being a part of that company for that long of a period of time.
Well, I was quite fortunate, man. I started out, the way that a lot of the young guys start out. I started when I was 18. I was playing college ball, and I started doing independent wrestling. It was what I always wanted to do was wrestle. And then when I was 20 years old, they sent me out, and I did the $1 Million Tough Enough, and I was on there for a little bit. And then right after my 21st birthday, I got my developmental contract when they opened Deep South Wrestling, and that's where the freaking Deacon was born. And I went down there as a young guy, and got the opportunity to learn under some of the best in the business. Bill DeMott was our head trainer, and we had Jody Hamilton, the assassin, there right at the school with us. And then, a plethora of WWE agents and producers like Arn Anderson and Fit Finley and, William Regal and guys like that. So, we really had an open book. It was really a great way to come up and learn the business before getting thrown out, into the shark-infested waters of WWE television. So,
Yeah, absolutely. You spoke of Bill DeMott there briefly. We've had Bill DeMott on this program, and there's a lot of apparently there's a lot of either you love Bill or you hate him. There's no in between ground with Bill DeMott, man. What was your opinion of Bill, and how did you enjoy your time with him?
Absolutely love Bill DeMott. I'm a big fan of the way that he trains guys. It's an old school Japanese training mentality. We did 500. Hindu squats first thing in the morning, then we'd run a mile, then we'd do blow-up drills for 2 hours, and then we'd wrestle. And I think that not enough guys have to kind of go through that stuff, today and come into the business that way. It definitely made me appreciate everything that I've ever gotten. And I've been in Japan and, been on the road or on tour for a month away from home and stuff like that. And he kind of built that toughness in us that I don't think that some guys get today. So definitely big fan of the way that he helped finish off a lot of us in the business and, going through the developmental system the way it was.
I don't think there's any better trainer probably today out there. I'm sure there are, but as far as helping people along and being an integral part of a lot of guys' career than Bill DeMott, you just can't say enough good things about that guy. And for those people who were kind of hating on him a little bit and giving him some grief about how he treated, how he trained you guys down there in Deep South, I never got that. That's old school training, man, and there's just not, in my opinion, enough of that out there today.
Not enough of it. The guys who complained about it couldn't hack it. Bottom line, sure. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
The people who had a problem with it weren't man enough to go through with it, so they shouldn't have been there anyway, and I'm glad they got weeded out. They don't belong in my business.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to hear a guy like you saying something like that because there's, as you know, you've been around the indies long enough. You see these guys out here on the independents who have never really been trained, but want to go out there and do all their superstar moves, man, and it kills the business. It's just, it just continues to kill what you and I, love.
It's not what we grew up on, that's for sure. I hate to speak negatively because I'm a really positive guy and I love this business, but I've been to some independents here lately, and it's almost an embarrassment. Some of these small-town independents that the guys are allowed to lace up boots and be on a cart because, I grew up watching guys who were men and who, if you walk into a bar, you go, think twice about messing with that guy. But when I see a little kid in jean shorts and kick pads and he just, he can do a flip off the ropes because he did it in some gym he paid $20 to get into. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Right, absolutely. We are absolutely on the same page on that. And I'd love to spend more time with you on that, but we got a lot to cover and a little bit of time to do it in. Really quickly, let's move forward into when you went up to the WWE there and came in as Festus originally, right?
The first thing I did was the Imposter Kane.
Right.
It was only about a month on television, but people always seem to ask about it. So that was my first thing I did. Did the pay-per-view with him, and then back to developmental, and then I came up as Festus after that with my partner Jesse, a.k.a. Ray Gordy.
You guys were over huge, man. I mean, that Festus gimmick took off like a bolt of lightning. Really, really, what do you attribute to that character getting over the way it did?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about in the wrestling that we grew up on. It was a character. It was something that people could sink their teeth into. Not that it was anything ingenious or I was some, spectacular 5-star match performer at that time, but I mean, it was something people could remember. Like George Steele ate the turnbuckle, and Jim Duggan had the board, and Festus was the guy who went nuts when the bell rang. So I think people remembered it. I think the kids dug it, and when the kids start to dig stuff, it kind of, I don't know, it has a little bit of a domino effect. So I mean, I remember some of the most fun I ever had was being on those house shows and the people just waiting and rumbling and buzzing, and then the bell would ring and going crazy, and everybody would pop. And I mean, it was a lot of fun to do. I really, really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, it really, like I said, it was one of the most over things, and it caught on kind of grassroots there. Like you said, man, it just kind of took on a life of its own, and people really seemed to enjoy it. What was the idea behind killing the Festus gimmick and going into the Straight Edge Society?
Well, I just think that they, sometimes you don't know what's going on, corporate-wise and stuff with them, because I thought Festus had some mileage within him if we would have turned it or
right.
taught him to speak or done, any number of things with him.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the way they wanted to go. They wanted to split us up. I went to Raw, and Jesse stayed on SmackDown and got repackaged as Playmaster Jay. And, that Raw TV is heavy, and it's heavy with the main event storyline and stuff. So I saw my TV time go down considerably from that, so I was looking to make a change and do something different. And we talked about an idea where I would come in with a mask, and they ended up going that route. And then they wanted basically a heater for CM Punk, which he never needed. We all know how good he is.
Yeah.
But, ended up, he looked at some guys and said, hey, why not Festus? The guy can go. He's sitting there not doing much right now, and that's kind of how that whole thing was born. And I was at home trying to change my look, and I dropped some weight and got a whole different kind of thing going on because I wanted to come back and people not go, hey, that's just Festus. So that was what I was trying to do in that time period.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that too, man. You underwent a dramatic change just in your physique there in a very short period of time, but it was kind of surprising that they did actually acknowledge that when you came out with Punk there that you were the former Festus. Did that kind of surprise you too?
Yeah, a little bit, but Punk and I both discussed it and thought that it needed to be said. I think it was only mentioned, the first 1 or 2 weeks that I was out there doing it, and then it was kind of left alone. But, I guess for the hardcore people who could tell or did know, we had to make some sort of a transition. So,
yeah.
I'm glad they covered it, but,
Gotcha.
Not anything striking that people remember or anything.
Yeah, exactly. How did you enjoy your time in the Straight Edge Society there with Punk?
I loved it, man. We've been close friends outside of the ring for a long time, and really, really respect that guy as a performer, as a wrestler. Obviously, he's one of the best in the business on the microphone. So it was another good time for me to sit back and be up close and personal with one of the best guys in the business. And again, some of the most fun I had with him was being out on these house shows, and we would tag or do 6-mans, and we were in the main event in San Francisco, and it was 6-man with him and Jericho and I. And those two are so great on the microphone that it was like old school, like Puerto Rico heat. I mean, it started with like a beer came in the ring, and then it was quarters, and then they were throwing everything they had. And we ended up only having a 6-minute match because it was going so nuts. But I mean, that's the kind of thing you don't get anymore. It was like legitimate, real white hot heat like that. And I really enjoyed getting to be a part of it. It was an awesome time.
Yeah, absolutely. And as with the Festus gimmick, the Straight Edge Society was really over huge, man. And again, kind of was killed there before its time. What do you attribute to that?
That, I always say, was a series of misfortunate events. We were in LA for SummerSlam, and that's what kind of got the ball rolling. Serena got herself into a little bit of trouble because of what our gimmick was supposed to be when we were out there in LA right before SummerSlam, and then we went into the match with Big Show, and unfortunately Joey Mercury and Big Show landed wrong, and Joey tore his pec off of his shoulder. And I've had that injury. I know how serious that can be. So now he's on the shelf, and Serena's getting fired. So the Straight Edge Society kind of imploded. It was back to me and Punk, and all the plans they had moving forward kind of disappeared. So it kind of, then he moved to Raw, and it left me with not much to do, and I saw myself again going from a lot of good TV time down to, opening dark match or superstars, and that's when I was looking for change. I just turned, 26 then, and I still feel like I have a lot to offer. I love doing this, and I want to go everywhere and do it. And I knew the writing was on the wall, so I remember getting the call, and we kind of just mutually agreed on the phone that I need to go away for a while, and that's what I'm doing. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. Absolutely. Hey, Festus, I'm sorry, Luke, we're up on a break right now. And when we get back from the break, we need to talk about tonight's big show out there at the Exchange Building here in Lawrence. And you'll be facing Gunner, and we'll get into some of that stuff when we get back here with more Luke Gallows on Inside Wrestling Radio coming up next. Hang on just a second, bro.
All right.